Welcome to CompanyCam for Desktop. My name is Bree. I'm an implementation specialist here at CompanyCam. As I mentioned, we've got a great team with us today to help us run class to make sure it operates, but get your questions answered in that Q&A section as well. So make sure, again, that you ask your questions as we go through our class today, but let's take a look at our agenda. Again, this is going to be focused on our desktop version of CompanyCam. This is primarily going to be at an admin or manager level. So again, things like setting up your account in projects and your users for success when they're out in the field using CompanyCam. We'll look at a few things from the mobile side just so you have the idea of what that shows up like for your team while they're in the app, but we'll be primarily looking at using CompanyCam on the desktop. Starting with setting up our users, we'll talk about user permissions. We'll get into creating your project where all that information will be stored, utilizing checklist. We'll talk about creating a page and using pages, and finish up with sharing galleries. So nice agenda today, lots to cover. Again, any questions that you have, please drop them in that Q&A and our team will get them answered, or we'll go ahead and answer them live if they do pertain to the larger group here. So I'm gonna switch my screen share. Make sure you guys can see this. Okay. All right. And we'll kick off here. So again, our first topic today is going to be user permissions. Users are anybody that you add to CompanyCam, so they have access to your account to manage or add new users. On the left-hand side of your desktop, you've got our little dark blue toolbar. Third option here is going to be users. This is where you'll find any active, invited, or even users that you've deactivated will be on this user page, but your active users will come first. When it comes to adding your team, you'll see this invite users option on the far right. This is going to allow you to send them an invite via email. Then email is what they'll use for their username to log in, and they'll set a password as they accept that invite. But when it comes to setting permissions, we want to make sure everybody has the right role so they have the correct level of access. We have 4 permission sets here at CompanyCam. I'm going to open up our little role option here so we can kind of take a look at this. We have, again, 4 permission sets, admin being the highest permission, has access to everything, has complete control over the account. So full ability to add and manage users, manage things like templates, billing, subscription information, full control is our admin. So think of that as your owners to give that admin access. The level below that is for manager. This is a lower access from admin, still has a lot of capabilities here, basically just removing that billing feature. So your managers, have access to all projects. They can manage your users. They can create templates and create additional information. So think of this as maybe your project managers, your crew leads in some cases, if they are assigning out projects, or if you want them to work on things like templates and be able to manage, who has access to the account or manage their team. Set them up as a manager. Standard is our third permission set. This gives access to all of the projects, but no management capabilities. So they will be able to use any of the templates that you create. They'll see any projects that are assigned to them, as well as all of the projects that exist within the account. If you want further restrictions, we have a restricted level. This is really great for maybe like a sales team, so they're not seeing other projects or other people's jobs in CompanyCam. They're only going to have access to projects that are assigned to them either by that admin or manager, or projects that they create within their own account. Again, this is our most restricted level, so make sure that people are only seeing the things that you want them to see, but still have the ability to use your templates, your checklist templates, your report templates, any of that. They still have access to use at that restricted level. You'll set these permissions as you are adding or inviting users to CompanyCam, but at any point, if those permissions need to change, maybe somebody's got given a promotion, you've got the option to come in here and update their permission set at any time as that admin or manager logged in on the desktop. All right, so we've got our users added. Let's talk about creating our projects. I'm going to come back to our project feed here. A really common workflow that we see is creating your projects before your team is out in the field in CompanyCam. This just gives them everything that they need. So when they show up to that job site, the app recognizes their location and is populating the projects that they're closest to at the very top. So they don't have to search for anything. A few other ways that you can create projects is through integrations. We've got a ton of integrations that you can check out on this far right-hand side, or left-hand side, excuse me, under resources. This is a great way to have projects created for you, but if you are planning to do that ahead of time, you can do that on the desktop just by clicking this create option here. We'll go in and hit new project. This is going to take me to a map of my current location. If you aren't seeing your current location, just make sure that your website or the desktop that you're using, Chrome or Safari, whatever you're using, has access to your location, so it shows you actually where you are. Top left corner, you've got the option to search for an address here, so you'll see the little pin that'll be dropped. So we type in an address. There we go. This little red pin is where we're going to create that project. You can drag this pin around if you need to relocate it. You'll also have options here to create like a geofence if there's an area that's a little bit larger, maybe doesn't have an exact address yet, especially if that's a new build. You'll have that ability while you're creating this project. On the right-hand side is where we're going to fill out the rest of this information. So we've got our address already pulled in for us, which is great because we search for it here. We now want to make sure we give our project a name. Make sure you come up with a good naming convention that everybody really understands. That way, if you are, getting started with creating projects but plan to pass this off, or maybe you're not in the office that day and projects need to be created, everybody can create them in the same way, so there's no questions about what project is where, what project is named. You don't end up with duplicates because somebody's looking for it titled a different way. So come up with a common naming convention. A lot of the times we see a customer name and some sort of unique identifier like a job ID, maybe there's a quote number, a project ID, anything that helps your team recognize that project easily, or is maybe even an option for them to search by if they're not at the job site at the time they want to look at that project. So I am going to just use my name here, and we'll go with a job ID as an example. We're going to add a project line 2, which is great for suite numbers, apartment numbers, and then make sure the rest of this is correct. If there's anything that you want to update, you can do so from here. Otherwise, you have the option to do that after we create our project. We'll hit create. CompanyCam is cloud-based, so as soon as you create this project on the desktop, it's available across the account for everybody that has access to it. If you need to make any edits to the project information, 3-dot menu icon in the top right corner is going to allow you to click into edit project. So if we needed to change the job ID or update the address information, we can do that and save. Again, this will update automatically across the account. If you are assigning projects to any of your users, no matter what their permission set is, right-hand side under project users is where you can go to actually assign those users out. They will get notifications as they are added or assigned to projects, and then you can come back in here if you ever needed to unassign them. All right. Any questions on creating users or creating projects? Alrighty. Awesome. We are going to keep moving on here with the next item on our agenda, which is utilizing our checklist feed. So if you're unfamiliar with checklists, this is a great way for you to standardize your processes for every single job for all of the teams. So everybody knows exactly what they need to do. Everybody's on the same page. You get all of the photos that you need, as well as any additional information that you may require from your team on the job site, to make decisions on materials you need to purchase or next steps in that project. So checklists, everybody has access to create checklists. Our premium and elite users have access to create checklist templates. I'll quickly show you how that works as we kind of get a little bit farther in our checklist process, but I want to just walk you through how to create a checklist, and we'll show you what it looks like on the mobile app as well, so you can see how that works for your team. So I'm going to click on our checklist tab here. For admins managers, this is a great place within the project to get an overview of what checklists have been added, who's assigned, what the latest activity is, and if any of them are completed. You've got access to all of this information right here. We'll click on our top in the right-hand side where it says create checklist. Will give me a few options to create a brand new checklist from scratch. We will go through that workflow just so you can see all the pieces that go into a checklist. This is your option to use a template, which we'll talk about in a bit as well. Last thing I'll point out is if you have a PDF that has kind of the breakdown of what your standardized maybe inspection is, you can upload that as a file and then create a checklist off of that really easily, so you don't have to create one from scratch. That's a newer feature, but is a really slick option to easily get some of those forms that you're already using in as a checklist without having to start from step one. So those are your 3 ways to create them in the project. I'm going to click on new checklist here and we'll give it a title, pre-inspection checklist, 121 is our date. All right, we'll create our checklist here and get into kind of the organization. We've got a few different options. So you can start adding your fields. Those fields are going to be those individual tasks that your team needs to complete within the list. Or if you want to add some additional organization, you can add sections to your checklist. So if you want to break this out by, we'll go pre-inspection, we can add the true inspection as a section, and then maybe there's post-inspection and steps that need to be taken as well. Within these sections, we can then add individual fields that apply to that. Makes it nice and easy for our team to see what's going on and quickly work through the checklist. They can be collapsed as you're working on them. You can also assign out individual sections. So if you have particular people who need to work on each one, you can easily get them assigned and they know exactly what they need to do when they open up this checklist. First things here, let's go ahead and add a field to our pre-inspection section here. We'll just say check for damages. So you'll give it a title, description of what needs to be accomplished for that field or task. Underneath that, you have an area to add some additional notes and instructions. So if there are particular things that you want your team to be looking for, feel free to add that information in here. This might be helpful if you want to designate maybe a number of photos that they need to take, or again, if there's just specific things that they should be looking for. I'm going to add check for cracks, holes, splits, etc. to help orient my team as they're out there. That's kind of the basic. You can leave it here. We have photos required toggled on. This automatically turns on for every field that you create to make sure that you're getting all the photos that you need. If you do have a task that does not require a photo, you can always toggle this off on this right-hand side. Now, in addition to having photos required, we also have questions that you can add to make sure you're getting all the information that you need while your team is out in the field completing this checklist. So you'll see there are 4 options here of questions that you can add. There is a yes or no question, a rating scale, a text box for just open response where they can add their notes, and then a multiple choice option where you can input any potential answers. Whoever's completing that will have the ability to check off everything that does apply for that particular field. Add as many questions as you'd like. You can use multiple of the same or just a combination of all of them. I'm going to use a yes or no question here. Add is there damage as the question description. And then we can add a rating scale for severity of damage. With our questions added, these are also fields that need to be completed before this task can be marked as completed. So in this case, we have photos required as part of our field, as well as 2 questions. All of those things need to be completed before, in total, we can mark that task as complete. A few other things to note while you're setting up your checklist. Up in this little bar where we see photos required is where you can assign an individual field to a user, so you have that option as well. You also have the ability to add reference images into your checklist. So if there are, again, just things that you want to help orient your team so they know what they're looking for. Maybe there's a warranty tag that's changed or a workflow that's changed and you want to make sure they know what type of photo they should be taking. Reference images are great for that. You can add up to 5 per task. So great way, again, just to help orient your team, make sure it's really easy for them to follow along as they are completing this checklist. All right, so we've got a task created. I am going to open up my mobile app here, and we're going to take a look at what this looks like from your team's view in the field. So I'm in my same project. I'm in my roofing and windows. I'm going to click into my to-dos, and we'll see our list of checklists. At the very top is the one that we just created. When I tap into that, I now see exactly what needs to be accomplished. So it's really clear to me as the user in the field what my tasks are and what my requirements are with that photos required tag right there and the questions that need to be completed. Again, all of those things need to be answered before I can actually mark that task as complete. So I have the option here to just tap on my answers to answer my questions. I can tap on my camera icon to start taking photos, or the plus sign allows me to add photos that already exist in the project if maybe they've taken them ahead of time, or if they have photos on their device that apply to this checklist, they can add them to CompanyCam from this checklist view. Now, the cool thing that we just recently added is the ability to talk to complete your checklist. You'll see at the very bottom, we have a little blue microphone. This is going to allow me to basically describe what I'm seeing in as I'm completing this checklist, and AI essentially is going to mark it as complete and fill those answers out for me. So really quick way for your team to do this while they're walking around on the job site without having to type all of that with their fingers. So we'll walk through that just so you can see what it looks like. I'll tap on my microphone. It does give me about 15 minutes to record, so if there's multiple tasks that I'm working through, I can do that in one session. So we'll walk through this here. I'm checking for damages. There is damage. The severity of that damage is a 4. I'm going to go ahead and take my photo. Done, and that task is complete. I'll hit done. It'll take a second here to upload the audio. It'll kind of analyze what you've said and mark those answers for me. It will also check off this task. If this was a task that had a text box where you'd be typing notes, you can say your notes. It's going to pull that into the text box for you. So really, again, just kind of completing all of that really simply, really quickly with that talk to text option. We love a speedy ways for our team to get more information while they're in the field. All right, last thing with our checklist here, if you wanted to save a checklist that you created as a template, back on the desktop, top right-hand corner to the right of the title of your checklist is our little 3-dot menu icon. You'll find a lot of options here. You'll see this ability here to save your checklist as a template. Again, this is available for our premium and our elite users to really standardize those workflows. Once they're saved as a template, anybody in your account can pull this template into the project that they're working on and follow those same steps. I'll also point out here, you have the ability to export your checklist as a PDF. So if you're integrated with AccuLinks, for example, and you want this to flow over to that same contact, you can export this as a PDF. You can save it to your files. That'll automatically move it over. Or if you just want a copy that you can share with a customer that shows them the progress of the job, exporting it to a PDF is a great option to provide them with some easy documentation of the work that you're doing and kind of the status of that project. All right, any questions on checklist? I think we're getting them answered in the Q&A. So we'll keep answering those there. Again, keep asking your questions in that Q&A, and we'll make sure we get those answered. All right, next topic we're going to cover here is our pages. So this is going to be right to the left, or sorry, to the right. My directions are off today. To the right of photos is where we find our pages. Think of this as your digital notepad. So some of you maybe have iPhones, or, I think most devices have this at this point, kind of like a notes app. Gives you kind of similar functionality, but a little bit more to that as well within CompanyCam. You've got blank pages that you can create with general information, material list, but you also have some templates that you can create. This is a great way to also kind of create some standard reports on what's happening in the job site with some of our AI tools on the desktop side. So we'll walk through a few different things here with pages. To create a page, you'll see this on the right-hand side. We'll click into Create Page. You're going to find a few options here. Again, we can create a blank page. We can use a template. There's some AI options that we'll dig into in just a bit as well. I'm going to click into blank page just so you can kind of see what it looks like to create one. So it truly is a blank page. At the top, you've got some formatting options here, some text formatting. There's, bullet, underlined, italicized. There's bullet points. There's number lists. You even also have tables. So if you did want to create like a materials list, or if you're working on creating invoices, those are things that you can do within Pages. But we also have templates, some example templates that you can use to help get you started. Pages is can feel kind of daunting because that you can rely on to use in itself as that template, or if you want to use that as the base to create a template for yourself with more information, you've got some options to do that. I'm going to go back under Create Page and I'm going to click into Use a Template. This is where you'll see any templates that you've created, but importantly, you're going to also find our example templates here. When I click over into example templates, these are ones that I'm able to use, again, on its own, or if I want to take a look and see what this looks like, maybe I want to use this as my base to create a page template and just add the information, the additional information that I need for my team, for my crew into that page as well. You'll see we kind of have them broken up into just some basic pre-built reports, and then we get into some industry-specific templates. Please come through this and scroll through and find some options that may be helpful for you. I'm going to click on one just so we can kind of get a look at what they may look like. Click on this change order, for example. So this gives you kind of an idea of what Pages can do. So we've got tables here. These are all spaces that can be filled out while you're in the mobile app as well as on the desktop. So they are still helpful for your team in the field. They can complete these tables. They can add this information, add their photos to it, and even request this for signatures if you have the signatures feature, or even use this to insert like a payment link and send this out to a customer. So you always have the option to preview these. If you do want to use that template and pull it in, you'll see Use Template in the top right. We'll add this to our project, to view, to fill out, and add more information into this particular page. Once this page is completed, you will have the ability to export it as a PDF. So again, if you do want to share this out with somebody outside of your account, you've got a PDF that you can download. You'll also have an option to share it as a link.
Share what a PDF looks like of either a checklist or a page and what it would look like?
Yeah, let me go back. So both kind of feel similar. They'll save under your files here. So I know we've got an exported. I'm actually come back to the checklist we used. And export you kind of a nice kind of summarized report. So there are some details here that you'll want to decide if you want to share while you export this as a PDF. I will always recommend to make sure Add to Saved Files is turned on, so you've got that copy there. Let me come back over to Files. Take a second here, but we've got our exported checklist right here as a PDF. When we click into this, we'll see it gives us a little bit of a cover page, which is nice, with the information on checklist title, who completed it, the project that's a part of it, your logo, as long as you've got that uploaded, will show up here as well. And then as we scroll into our page with the checklist information, we'll see the section, the tasks, what's been completed, the photos, if you decide to add that, will be listed here as well. And then if we're looking at Pages, give this a second to catch up. We'll walk through that same process. Go right here and export this as a PDF. Again, these will save to your files. download, it will be under our files again. And we'll kind of have that similar look. We'll get a little bit of a cover page. There we go. Again, this is back. I think this is actually the page it didn't open as my checklist. Sorry, my internet is not cooperating with me today, so hang tight for just a second. We'll give this page a second to reload. Yeah, okay. Okay, I'm gonna try to turn my video off and see if that will help. My Zoom is being kind of funky, so I was thinking about it. Okay. All right, let's hop back into our project. And into files for the big reveal, maybe. Okay. All right, so here's that page we just exported. We'll open this up. And similar to what we saw, gives us just a nice PDF that we can share. Title at the top, those sections and photos that fall within that checklist will be included. We can send this to request for signatures, again, if you already have that, or you can save this to your desktop if it's something that you want to attach in an email, maybe send out to a subcontractor or anybody else outside of your account, a customer that would like access to view that page. Any other questions on checklist or pages? All right, awesome. Okay. Last thing I'll point out with pages is that these are also great for creating a checklist. So if you do create maybe like a materials list, or you've got this change order form, for example, that we had, we can send that. I'm going to open this back up. Top right hand corner, our three-dot menu icon again will give me the option to create a checklist from this. So basically what it's going to do is these headings here are going to be sections. Our bullet points are going to be the actual tasks that need to be completed. So this is another quick way to create a checklist just through pages. One other workflow outside of using a page that maybe you created on your own, you can use our AI to create some of those pages and then pull them into a checklist based off of photos that you use as well. So we've got 3 options with AI: a summary, a daily log, as well as a progress recap. All of these are going to use photos that already exist in the project and are going to be more impactful. You're going to get more information if those photos include a description. So if your team is out in the field and they're using that description field to add their notes and information to those photos, that's going to make this AI option super powerful because it's going to have just more robust information based on what you've already added into your photos. So let's open up. We'll go into our daily log. Again, this is going to allow me to choose my photos. I'm going to look for any photos that have this little description icon in the bottom right hand corner. Makes it easy for me to know which photos are going to give the AI the most information. We'll select a few here to give us some good options. All right, and then we'll generate this report. So again, it's using our AI to give it a good kind of overview, organizes the photos, and then any remaining to-dos here are pulled off of from, again, what's been added as the description. We can continue to add to this if there's more information we want to include, or maybe we forgot a photo, we want to pull that in and add more descriptive information. We can always do that. And then again, we can use this to convert this to a checklist if we'd like. Or if you ever want to save your pages as a template, you've got that option under that 3-dot menu icon as well. All right. Our last topic here is sharing photos out of CompanyCam. So we've looked at a few ways to share photos with some information with our exported checklist templates, or if we're looking at pages. But if there's just a set of photos that you want to share with a customer or really anybody outside of your account, you have the option to do that with our gallery links. You've got two ways to share a gallery of selected photos and a gallery of all photos. Gallery of all photos will be under our share icon here at the top to the right of our star. We go into share all images. This is going to pull all of the photos that currently exist in the project into a link for us. We've got the option on if we want to include photo details. It's the who, when, and where when those photos were taken. And then if we even want to include photo descriptions, these are toggled off by default. Just toggle them on if these are things that you do want to see in our gallery link. We'll click our Get Link option, and we now have a link that we can share via email, or if we're on our app, you can share these from the app as well, that you can share via text message, or even if you wanted to post that to social media, for example. But this will just have the 242 photos that already exist in this project. If our team is still out in the field taking images, those are not going to be included. So this is a stagnant link. You won't be sharing absolutely everything that happens with the gallery of all photos. We'll click on View Gallery just so you can get an idea, of what this looks like. Most recent photo will be at the very top. Description and photo detail information falls right underneath that. So you can see this is a great way to really just provide some extra transparency, some extra information to anybody that you might be sharing these photos with. Now, the most common way that we do see people share is that gallery of selected photos, which just gives you the ability to really choose what you want to share out of the account without maybe providing too much information or sharing a bad photo. You've got the option to choose what photos you'd like to share out of the account. So what I'm going to do here in my photo feed is I'm going to check the box of the photo, or if I want to share an entire date, click next to that date range to highlight and select all those photos. If you want individual ones, just hover your mouse over those and you'll see that box in the top left corner to choose and select photos to share. At the top, we have our actions bar. We're going to click into share and then share a gallery of selected photos. Again, this is only sharing the photos that we've selected. In this case, we've got 10 that are going to be included in this link. We'll turn on our photo details for this, and same process, we'll get our link. We'll view our gallery, and as you can see, it's just those 10 photos. It has descriptions, but we did not include the photo detail information, so you'll see it looks a little bit different from the other link that we generated. But this is a link that you can share out, again, with anybody outside of your account. As long as they have the link, they have access to the photos that they've shared. That you've shared, they have the ability to download these photos to their own device if they'd like to keep a copy outside of this, but as long as they have that link, they'll have access to those photos that you've selected to share with them. All right, any questions on sharing photos? I think we're still getting everything answered in the Q&A. That is all the information I had for you today. So let's hop back over. We've got some resources that we'll make sure you have as well. So we've got a ton of resources available to you to make sure you get the most out of CompanyCam, but you can also support your team in getting the most out of CompanyCam as well. So if you have technical questions, you can reach out to our support team. They're available via chat in the app or on the desktop, or you can send an email to support@companycam.com. They are absolutely great to work with. During the business hours, you are guaranteed a response within 3 minutes, so we can get you answered and get you back to the duties at hand. So chat with our support team if you do have questions. If you have a Spanish-speaking crew, we do have help sites, we have classes, we have a YouTube channel dedicated to our Spanish resources. So you'll see these here. We're also going to share these in our email that has the recording. So you'll have these here, but we do want to highlight this for you so you know these are available. Help.companycam.com is our general help site. \ES is going to give you Spanish. \EN is going to give you English. So go to that page. You'll see an option in the top right to toggle between languages if needed. And then some video resources. We've got our class resources again. Our CompanyCam, companycam.com/resources/classes is going to get you directly to kind of the archive of classes that we've had. So you can review desktop classes. We've got mobile classes, as well as our feature classes that hit on, really specific things like checklists or pages, our AI tools. Our mobile redesign is up there as well. So if you want more information on the new mobile redesign, that's a great place to get some self-help through that resource center. We also have a YouTube channel with some quick how-to videos that are 3 minutes or less, easy to share with your team and maybe watch at the beginning of a meeting or on their own if they just want to dive in a little bit further. Lastly, you can get personalized training. We have customer success managers here that are here to help you get the most out of your account. So if you want more personalized training or want to talk more about ways that you can get features in CompanyCam included into your workflow, reach out to your customer success manager. If you're unsure who that is, send an email to success@companycam.com. We'll make sure we get you over to the right person. They'll reach out, get you set up with a training or a phone call so we can make sure, again, you get the most out of your CompanyCam account.